I'm a huge believer in, and this is for mums and dads, if your sole identity is a parent, what happens when the kids leave? Because then your identity is gone.
1 in 10 new fathers experience postnatal depression, and apparently that number jumps to 40 to 50% when their partner's also struggling. Did you go through it? Do you know anyone that went through it? Or
Forever you would hear people say, I can't do that because I'm a dad now, or I've got responsibilities and stuff. But you can still be your own person. You can still pursue what you're passionate about and still be a really good dad.
Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? That's like what having a kid is like.
hey everyone, slightly different format for this intro. I don't have a well-rehearsed speech, but so we are joined today by Joe Marsden. He's a big guy. He fights, which we'll talk about. He's also in education, but more importantly, he's a father of 4. I've not been a father, but I've been a kid, so I have some experience. And for those eagle-eyed people, you can't see it yet, but in the next frame you'll see we also have a new guest, Mr. Hugh Evans. Hugh is a father. He's also part of this friend group, so we welcome him. Okay. Yeah, nice. How's that for an intro, Rob? Without no teleprompter.
Is that it?
That's basically it, yeah.
Oh, wow,
I think we got a point.
I'll do.
We got across the key points, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for those who didn't, who are perhaps quite slow like Robert, this is about fatherhood, this episode.
Okay.
And specifically around, like the transition to fatherhood, embracing fatherhood, all the fun, what's and all as well. But yeah, it's probably enough for me. Joe, you are the MVP for this session. For those that don't know you, and they probably should know of you because you have skyrocketed in social media with your preaching, if you will. But for those who don't,
That's a strong statement.
That's not a nice way to
I think it justifies what you're doing. But for those who don't know who you are, like, who are you and kind of what's a normal day with, I think you got 4 kids under 7, right?
Yeah. So, who am I? I am just a normal guy. And I think that's why potentially the social media is going quite well, because it's relatable. I'm a late 30s, 37-year-old dad of, I suppose the difference is I have 4 kids 7 and under, which is wild. All
wild.
Boys, with a full-time job, and I train jiu-jitsu and compete jiu-jitsu. And so the page is just all about how I balance all of those things. So yeah, I am no one special. But I think, the following is people in my shoes as well. And that's why I started it, was to find, I can't be the only one that does it. And I found that, like, the community is, I do that. And it might not be jiu-jitsu, it might be another thing, but training around your kids and working around your kids and managing your time. And then new fathers, I get lots of messages off new fathers like, I want to do this or I want to do that. How do you manage that? And my friend said, but you're going to have to get like really good at jiu-jitsu. I've only been training 2 years. I'm distinctly average. and again, I think that's part of it. Like, people are seeing the journey. Like, they're seeing like me go from, I started it a year after I started training, and a complete beginner who wins and loses, often loses. And again, it's about it's that example to your kids as well, that you can lose at something and that's okay, So that's me.
I don't know, man. I've seen your reels. You know your way around the mat. Hugh, just quickly, man. Just a quick introduction to, I think we said that we called them the Counsel of Menheads. I think.
Yeah.
That was one thing. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah. Brief intro to you.
Brief intro. Not nearly as exciting or as dashing as Joe here, but father of 1, little daughter who's almost 2 now. Same sort of mid-30s. Very keen to kind of, get and talking about, what it is about becoming a father and adjusting and finding time for you as a person and retaining that identity moving forwards.
Closest thing to an expert that we know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't know anyone else with kids, which is interesting as well, because it seems like it's a London thing. Is people? When did you have your first kid?
So my eldest is about to turn 8 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
late 20s.
I think I was 29.
29.
Makes sense. I'm 37. So 29.
That's kind of when I wanted to have kids. When you're like in your early 20s, you're like, by 28 I'll have life sussed out. I'll have kids. I'll have a stable job, white picket fence, nice house. Zero
check
of
all
that.
those boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're working
Well, I've checked
towards
one
it.
of them.
Yeah.
The wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Pretty
the
recent.
very recent. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Joe, so people, if they were looking for you on social media, would probably search for something to do with like dad, right, or like fatherhood. But your tagline, your handle is Jiu Jitsu Dad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When did those two identities like start merging into one?
So the journey has been, I played rugby since forever. So I had like 30 years of rugby. I got to 35. At that time, I had 3 kids. The writing was on the wall in terms of retiring from that. But like mentally, I was like, I can't not do something. I can't go from 30 years of rugby and training twice a week and playing and go to nothing. So I spent a lot of time towards the end of that season, like, right, what can I do? What can I do? I've got to do something. So I thought about cycling because you can buy cool stuff, and I like buying cool stuff. But again, I'm not an aggressive person, but for me, physical sports are sort of my thing. So I literally did as every dad does. I got on Facebook and put on a local spotted group, like what's out there, because I'm a big one of like putting yourself out there. Yes, people might find you, but you've got to put yourself out there. So put it out there. Again, I got replies of things going on, and there was a local gym. They had a 6-week beginner's course, no strings attached, just 6 lessons. See if you like it. When I was like, my wife wasn't best pleased that I was instantly hooked, because I thought she might get a bit of time back. And again, we just made it work. And so after a year of that, like I said, the whole how I train and how I organise my time, I was like, I can't be the only one that does this, And so I just thought, right, I'll start a page and see if I can find my people. So much like putting it on a spotted Facebook group, I just put myself out there. Had fun with editing. I'm complete again. I've never done anything like this, so it's all just done on my phone. Like I'm not professional, and yeah, I made a promise to myself I'd post every day for a year and just see what happened, with the idea of just meeting, like reaching out to people or people finding me, and yeah, it's gone a bit crazy.
I haven't seen any of your content. What is it you putting out?
Mainly just so different stuff, but a lot of day in the life stuff. So sort of following my day, and that's the other thing. So I didn't want it to like become another thing I do. So I sort of film as I go. So, and then I edit when I'm putting the baby to sleep. So at the moment, the youngest is 1 and a bit. So we put him in his bed. I sit in the room, edit while he's going to sleep. It's nothing, I'm not doing anything extra. And again, that's part of it. I do a bit of like talking to the camera, giving advice. But I think people just seeing the day in the life stuff, they can really relate to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been asked to do YouTube stuff like that, but I don't have the time. And that's another thing. I'm not going to commit to stuff that is going to take even more time away from. It has to fit in my schedule.
So you're chasing the kids around, cut to beating some guy up in a jiu-jitsu mat, cut back to putting the kids to sleep.
Some of the most popular ones is like leaving work to the end of training, because I train in the evenings with jiu-jitsu. So it's like literally leave work at, say, 4 o'clock. I have to pick 2 up from their grandparents, 2 up from school, do their homework, get their dinner done, and then my wife comes in, she takes over for the nighttime routine. I go and train, I come back. It's that. So it's like boom, boom, boom. And I think people can relate to that, like, busy, non-stop.
But what you've kind of done is you've set yourself aside. This is the routine. This is the thing I'm making myself responsible for.
100%.
The thing I'm doing for myself, and then also kind of building it around having kids. And I mean, 4 kids that's a lot of kids.
And we're gonna
one's been enough for me.
We're gonna get into all that.
Yeah. COVID and a writer's strike are to blame for 4 kids.
Well, you do it all at the same time.
Like I say, they're all under 7. So the eldest was in 2018, and the second one, it was literally, we went into lockdown in March 2020, didn't we? And he came in April. So, and then by the end of sort of COVID, as it were, we had the third one. And then, but to be fair, both my wife and I, we come from big families. I remember saying as a kid to my mum, like, I want loads of kids. So it's all, I've always wanted loads of kids. And if I'm really honest, potentially if we were younger, we might have more. But I think right now we are sort of like we're in a good place.
That's
right
enough
now. We're in a
kids
good
now.
place because it is, like you say, it's routine and logistics. That is
Yeah.
the
So going back to that, like when you had, for example, your first kid, right? When a baby's born, a lot of men actually think that, like, well, I mean, I haven't had a baby yet, but from what I understand, a lot of men think that everything, be it like the feeding, the comfort, it all kind of, they assume it naturally pulls towards mum, right? And like there's an expectation of mum, but like, what's it actually like being a dad, standing next to that and, sometimes wanting to help out in certain capacities where you can't necessarily do so? Like, how does that feel?
So I'm blessed that all my kids have been healthy, the births have been fine, and me and my wife made the agreement that actually I stayed working. I took in my role, I can take my paternity sort of within a year of the birth. So and again, because I work in education, I can play the game of basing it around holidays. So every time I've postponed my paternity leave to then get sort of a block of time, because to be really honest, when the baby's first here, the dad can't really do too much in terms of like the actual feeding. They can do everything, and this is the other thing, you can do everything apart from the feeding, and even that, again, my wife breastfed, but if you're on the bottle, the dad, I don't see what a dad can't do. But it's just actually the baby doesn't do a lot. If they're healthy, the baby actually just doesn't do a lot. It sleeps and eats. So I'm a big one, like for me, with all four of mine, because the birth's been fine and my wife has been healthy and stuff, and she's not needed help, like say a C-section, so she can drive whatever. She said, just go to work, because actually you're just going to be sitting around. And yes, you'll hold the baby, but as soon as I get in from work, we're huge on like skin to skin, straight and getting that bond. That's straight massive. Away. Yeah. So
skin to skin, what's that?
It's like, I don't know how long people have been advised. Yeah, it's basically having contact.
Careful.
Like, yeah, you got to. I mean, we'll edit that bit out. Content warnings everywhere. But basically, yeah, like I presume other health services around the world do this, but NHS strongly recommends, like, particularly with fathers, to build that physical, like, there's some sort of like chemical, biological connection that you build with your child, getting like just the baby's head onto your bare chest.
Literally, as soon as it's born.
As soon as it's born.
Yeah.
To recognise your scent or something.
Yeah,
and just it builds that like strong bond, because they're always going to get that from, in a mum-dad relationship. They're always going to get that from the mum if they're breastfeeding or even just soothing or cradling or anything like that.
That's also, again, I know I'm not making this up. It definitely is a thing. Why babies look like their dads when they're first born is so the dad knows it's theirs.
Yeah,
I've heard
so
that.
like
it's some like ancient.
Like so they don't like kill it because it's somebody else's. It's like an evolutionary thing. So and that does sort of die down over time. But when often the babies will look like dad, so they can recognise it. But yeah, we do like those things. And what we bought, we bought a wrap, like literally, I think it's like £8 wrap, and it's done all four of them. So I'd get home from work, put the wrap on with no t-shirt, so skin to skin, put the wrap on and cook, or go around the house and do bits. So baby was always with me, or obviously with the top on, but go shopping. I'd always carry the baby in the wrap. That wrap, best £8 I've spent. Like that's done all four.
And
kids.
when does that like skin to skin? I mean, you can't be doing that when they're 18, right? Like when does it?
Maybe not.
When does it end? Is it like a 6-month thing? So remember you told me once that I'm pretty sure it was you, that there's this weird thing where babies think they're still attached to the mother up until a certain point.
There's some. Because I think I can't remember what we got spoke to about this during like our NCT and like all the advice from the nurses and doctors at the hospital, but like the baby still thinks that it's part of like, it's just like an extension of the mother.
That's it,
they think they're like the same being or whatever. So you need to like introduce yourself as like, the other person in their life that's going to be helping them develop and grow and whatnot, to help build that kind of like strong connection, strong bond. And that's what I found. I took my paternity leave straight away at the beginning. My wife had a C-section, so she needed a bit more. Yeah. You can't, you're laid out. You can't do any heavy lifting for like 6 weeks or whatever, and it's not really practical with a newborn around.
Yeah.
Being there for the first like couple of weeks, whatever it was, massively sleep deprived, had no idea what was going on any time of day, any time of night. It just all blurred into one. But those moments were really magical, and I found them really important for building that bond and striking a connection really early doors with my daughter. I don't know, it's just, obviously everyone's experience is going to be different, but I found that time was like important to be there.
But if you think like how dads bond with kids is through physical touch and stuff. So like another thing that's on sort of my social media is the boys come to the gym with me. They don't train, but they literally just come, and then we'll play at the end. And it's that dad's rough and tumble play and all that. Obviously it teaches them socially like boundaries of physical contact and play, but also that is how those endorphins, like they get to know dad is here, and that's why our natural instinct is to hold the child, play with the child. And so obviously my house is absolute chaos with all four of them, and it's just constant play all the time, and that's where that bond comes from.
I think that has been, and again playing into that point that you were talking about earlier, where dads might feel a bit lost at the beginning, like not knowing what they can do to help out. Like what I found over the last couple of years being a father is your role as a father evolves constantly, day to day, week to week. And as she's gotten bigger, that like chucking her around, rolling on the bed, playing like chasing each other, whatever, throwing the ball at each other, anything like that, all that rough and tumble stuff. That's like, that came after like a few months or so, and it began like to sort of develop. And it's not saying that mum isn't the like fun one. Mum's not the person they don't go to play for or whatever, but you become like, that's part of your kind of identity from relatively early on. And it was really nice when that clicked for me. I was like, oh, I can see, like, I know what I'm meant to be doing here. It felt like natural and like quite easy.
But just going back, sorry for jumping around it, but just pre kind of skin time and pre the baby actually being born, like for your first kid, Joe, and obviously your first kid, Hugh, mentally, like how did you prepare for that? Did you have like an existential
how do you feel before?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I can tell you how I feel as someone who's not had a kid.
Yeah.
That you're scared of the fact that you're not going to get any sleep. You're scared of the fact that you're going to have to, help your wife go through stuff. And I know they go through it worse, and we can talk about that. But, you go through stuff as well as a bloke.
Yeah.
And, all of the other anxieties like money and all the things that you have to buy. And then basically every step up until you have a baby sounds absolutely terrifying. And then the actual having a baby sounds even more terrifying.
I think probably now that you're a seasoned pro at it, you're probably a bit calmer with, baby 2, 3 and 4. For me, it was definitely, we massively bungled things. We bought a house, decided it needed completely like gutting and renovating. We decided to do that. I just like kind of shifted roles at work, so I just got a lot more responsibility, and then we had the baby coming, and it was like, oh crap, we got it. And I had like crippling anxiety in the summer that we were kind of like leading up to my baby being born, and I ended
because
up losing,
of all that, or because
I think that and just like the renovation and everything, all the added pressure from work and whatnot, and I ended up losing something like 8-10 kilos in about 6 to 8 weeks, which
so that's the trick.
Do all the stressful stuff at one go. But even if like, you can read as many of the self-help books as you want, you can talk to as many people as you like that have gone through the same experience. And I'm probably going to butcher this with a horrible misattribution to him, but I think, was it Mike Tyson said, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? And that's like what having a kid is like. You can plan and prep and make sure that you've got the right job with the good income, good time off, you've got everything sorted at home, you're all prepared. And then the baby comes and it just like tips everything up.
Did you have the same experience with your first?
So I think, again, a benefit I have is I don't really get stressed. Like, I'm a big believer in you can only worry about what you can control. So what's out of your control, I'm super like, it is what it is. And I think that helps. My wife is like the strongest person I know. She is, so that like really helps, because she mentally was like, right, we got to do this, and this. And she was every time a huge nester. So that is a thing, like be prepped for that, because mum will want to like nest. So I remember being at 2, I was working, and then at 2 a.m, I was painting the hall and landing stairs, because she was like, we've got to get it done before the baby comes. And that's that was sort of a running joke through all our kids. She's like, well, which room are we going to decorate? So, and you're right, you can do all the things. And I think as long as you've got your stuff there, your physical stuff that you need, actually, once that baby comes, it's weird. Like you just do it. You just do it. Like,
make things work.
yeah, you think like, for the first, I was like, right, how am I going to hold the baby? And then as soon as it's here, you're like, oh yeah, that's how you hold it. Like,
Does
something
your
just
mentality,
clicks.
does your mentality change? So you just, as you say, your mentality changes. You start, caring for something else, and that becomes more important, and you physically feel that.
Literally. So a good sort of my example is before kids, I was like a bit of a workaholic. Like, I remember I'd like work 6 hours on a Sunday doing like data for work. As soon as a kid came along, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And like, I think your boundaries, well, for me anyway, the boundaries strengthened around being a dad and actually like prioritizing my time, what's valuable to me. And sometimes that is work because it needs doing. Sometimes that's sort of my thing, jiu-jitsu. Sometimes that's kids. Sometimes that's wife, and fitting all that in. But I just think like mentally, it is stressful having a kid, and especially your first, and you do worry about everything. But once it's here, it all just seems to like go, and you just, something just clicks. It says like, for me, it's just a natural thing. You just become a dad. And it just seems to work. Like, I can't explain it. It just seems to.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like, there's no real better way of explaining it. You can worry about all the things in the world, but on day one, it just happens, and you just find yourself just falling into it.
Just imagine like going to the hospital, just being handed this creature, and like go home right on your own now.
Yeah.
I'd be bricking it.
Especially for us, apart from one of them, we were like in and out same day. So it is that like it's that like oh, you've had a kid, see you later, off you go. And that is why that is
You made
wild.
this mistake.
You're like, what do you do now?
No, Robert.
This is your like, for us it was a choice, but and I am also that, like we chose to have 4 kids. Like each time we have chosen this, and when it gets stressful, I turn to my wife. I'm like, but this is it. We wanted this. Like, we chose this. This is what we wanted. So, and you take a step back and reflect on that bit.
Did you set out wanting 4?
Just wanting. We, as I said before, we knew we were going to have like a big family. Yeah. And so we both come from big families, and we knew we'd have a few kids. I think after the 3rd, we were happy and we were thinking, and then you get comfortable, and then you're like, let's what's one more. So but I think we're done.
But on a more serious, and I think the word I was about to Google it there, macabre. That's
macabre.
Is the word.
On a more serious and macabre subject.
Not sure if it's the right word, but go for it.
Wait till I finish the sentence and then tell me. So some studies that I've managed to sort of pull up prepping for this was that, I mean, it might not sound like a lot, but it's more than I expected. But 1 in 10 new fathers experience postnatal depression. And apparently that number jumps to 40 to 50% when their partner's also struggling. Yeah. Right? And I'll put the citation in the description for this episode. But a lot of cases get undiagnosed, and also I didn't know that was a thing in men, right? Either of you, and I'll start with you first, Joe, but first of all, does that stat surprise you? And then also, did you know anyone that, did you go through it? Do you know anyone that went through it? Or
it does surprise me. All the people I know with kids, as far as I know, they haven't suffered with that. But I think that potentially that could be down to, like I've just said, you're so heightened building up to the birth, and everyone's around you, families around you, friends are around you, and then you have the baby. It's actually here, and it's like, oh, I actually have this child, and it can be almost like a roller coaster. You've gone up on the roller coaster, you've had the kid, and now it's like you're going, and I think it's that. Potentially that's down to him, but like I say, for me, I'm just a huge people person, so I think like having the community around you, whatever your community is just a massive support. And we've mentioned it before, like we stuck to routine, like doing our thing. So I remember after my first child, so we came out of hospital on the Wednesday, and I went to training on Thursday night because the wife was, my wife was like, we're fine. You're okay. You can go and do your thing. It's only an hour or so. Go and do your thing. And so we were quite like that. Like we always said, we wanted our kids as much as they can to fit in around us, and we didn't want to make huge changes to our lives in terms of, you know, just being parents. And I think that's really important. Like, and again, I think we might touch on it later a bit, but just if you're just being a parent and you don't take time for yourself, that is, and I think you start of, if your partner suffers with it, I think I can see that. You know, again, I'm super blessed that my wife is so strong. You know, but I think if she was struggling, I might struggle as well. So, and again, if you haven't got that support network around you, I think that
could be
quite
So the
isolating.
circumstance can be drastically different, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have got, I mean, we obviously know you, Hugh. You got friends, you got family, you got people around you. You planned it out in the first place. It's intentional. You know, all those things together.
Yeah.
Stable
It's
income.
kind of okay. Stable income makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
If you've not got any of those things, if you're kind of doing it on your own, or your family is not supportive of you, or you're younger than you could otherwise be, you know, there's loads. I think there's
That
loads
pressure
of
could
people.
mount up, definitely.
Exactly, the pressure could very, very quickly.
I also think we were the first to sort of our friends network to have kids as well, and I think for us it didn't affect us, but I think that could be another thing. You know, if you've not got people to bounce off that are also not dads and don't really get it, when you're saying like sleep deprived or it was a good night, I only got up 3 times.
It's
a good night.
It must be hard when all your friends are going out and having fun doing things.
Yeah. And I sort of hark back to my parents. They moved from up north to where I grew up and didn't have any family around, and they were the only ones sort of in Leicester where I'm from, and so I don't know how they did it. You know, I wouldn't be really anywhere without, or we wouldn't be anywhere without sort of our family network as well, and like, you know, strong northern parents. That fair play to mum and dad, because I think that's a real big help if family are around.
Well, especially if you've got 4 of them.
I don't want to. Yeah, I definitely need the help. I don't want to go down this whole. I don't want to get cancelled, and I don't want to go down this whole red pill, blue pill
Well,
thing.
then don't say what you're about to say.
But I'm going to say it because it was, again, during the research, it was an interesting. It's not a stat. This one, it's more anecdotal, but like an interesting claim here, which I'd love to know your thoughts. And again, I'll put the source in the description. This is not my necessarily opinion, but
just say it.
yeah. So apparently, UK data shows that support services still skew heavily towards mothers.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, leaving fathers underserved during the perinatal period.
Yeah.
Do you think dads have adequate support, or new dads, and do you think they're able to voice their support, their kind of issues or struggles in those early weeks?
I think it's there if they want it. There's obviously what you're doing is an example of that, building that community, you know, on your social media, having that sort of platform to do it. I know that's not like directly a mental health charity or a, you know, specific thing designed for new dads per se in that way, but finding your, whatever it might be, someone to talk to, someone to share an experience, a video to watch, anything like that. There are loads of those things out there, but you just need to know how to look for it. And I think obviously, you know, you guys probably touched it on the pod before, but men probably not very good at knowing when things are wrong at the best of times, and B, not very confident in asking for help, or
and you hold it together for your wife, right?
Yeah, you got to like, you know, keep things together as best as possible. But even something like there's a quite an like, I've seen loads of these sort of like new dad groups, or just groups of, I think they're called like walking groups of dads or whatever, and they just go to the park, meet up, have a coffee, bring your kid of any age or whatever, and you just chat and meet other dads who are similar experiences or whatever.
Yeah, and your pain isn't invalid because somebody else who's there is potentially suffering worse.
Yeah,
right.
Possibly, and it's just someone to talk to. You know,
I heard a great joke on this the other day.
Yeah,
I'm going to say it, and it's definitely cancellation culture. So you can totally cancel it. You know the joke. I told you the joke the other day, but it's this joke that it's like, you know, when you go and have a kid as a dad, it's like going to war, losing a leg, and then your wife also losing both of her legs and both of her arms in exactly the same war. And then you go and talk to your friends, and your friends are like, "You all right? You all right? You've lost your leg." You're like, no, it's fine. You're just hopping up and down while your wife's kind of stuck there with no arms and no legs.
That was more of an analogy than a joke.
Well, but it's a good analogy, right? Because you're sure. Like, you know, it's as much you're suffering too, or you might be suffering too. You maybe not suffering as much as your wife could potentially be.
Yeah.
And I think that analogy is probably wrong as well, because it can go both ways.
Vary by
Different people have different
I
emotional
think
states.
I think dads have recognised sort of what that stat says, that actually formal services, there's not much out there, and it might be my algorithm because of what I do on social media, but actually, like, the amount of dad pages that are appearing on social media, like when I first started, that although my thing is jiu-jitsu, actually a lot of it was just dad stuff that kept popping up, and like loads of people that I connected with initially, it wasn't around the sport or anything like that. It was about being a dad. And I saw a post the other day from someone saying, like, 2026 seems to be the year of the dad on social media, like dads doing their thing, supporting each other, loads of those meetups, like running clubs, walks, coffee mornings, those sorts of things. So I think just as a community, we're starting to take care of ourselves. And so there might not be formal stuff, but it's out there. If you feel like you're struggling, social media, one of the best things about social media is those positive connections that you can form with people, and support each other through that.
100%. And like for me as well, I mean, the social media stuff aside, looking for those absolutely blessed, as we've touched on before, to have my parents, my wife's parents nearby. We've got all our kind of like family and friends, and knowing people that have gone through the same experience of becoming a new father or whatever, or talking to my own dad, just having that there has been a huge like resource for me to call upon. Just like, if you ever need a chat about something, or if you're kind of like, how did you deal with this situation when you were,
well, I know that as soon as I have a kid,
or whatever it might be.
As soon as I have a kid, I'll be around your gaff.
By all means.
Yeah.
Calling you up for everything.
Put together a cheat sheet for us.
What do you do when they vomit all over your back? I don't know. It'll happen many times.
How many times did you take her to hospital when she maybe didn't need it?
Or I'd be there every day.
No, we actually took her to. We had one not great experience coming. We went on holiday when she was like 3 months old, and it was we were coming back. It was like the day we were coming home. We were on this train in Switzerland, and there was like a woman sat next to us, and she was like coughing, like she looked like a plague victim. Like, I was like, oh god, like we're gonna get ill. Just before we flew home, got home, had like one night was okay, then the next night baby's fever like through the roof, and we took her into hospital at like, I don't know, it's like 5 a.m. or something like that, to A&E. And luckily when you go to A&E with kids, you go to the special kids one, which is like much nicer than the
toys,
the drunks and the people who've been stabbed and the whatnot. You get fast tracked in, and because she was under 1 at that point, they just like see her really quickly. She got COVID, and then had like a fever and whatever else. So that was pretty like not a nice experience.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if I have a kid, the first 2 years, I'm going to be in that hospital probably more times than I care to admit.
Again, I think you think that, but actually, you just sort of know, don't you? And it's an instinctive thing. And it's really hard to explain that to someone without, because I absolutely understand like what you're saying. You're like, I'll be, but you just sort of get to know your kid and what's ill, we probably should go and see someone, those sorts of things, like. And kids, ultimately, kids bounce. They're resilient. Like, I came home last night, and my third one, he got a huge lump on his head because his brother had, legged him over, and he was fine. My wife had checked him over, he was fine, but big lump, on his head, and you're like, yeah, you're good. We'll just keep an eye on you. You're fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Joe, you work in education.
Yeah.
What role do you think? Obviously, you're not going to teach kindergarten kids about fatherhood, but like, what role does education play in like prepping perhaps kids for that eventuality?
I think so. It's one of those, you don't put a message or a pressure on, you're going to be a dad one day. I think those times have gone. But what you do is you teach them to be good people, like morally good people, resilient, respectful, responsible. So like all the traits of being a good person fit into being a good dad. So it's not necessarily explicitly, you're going to be a dad one day. so you need to do this, that, the other. It's just being a good person, and definitely resilience. Like, that is a huge thing we're teaching at the moment, because the world is changing so fast, and we don't know what it's going to be like in 2 years, let alone 10 years, 20 years when they're leaving school. So being able to have that resilience, that's going to set you well for fatherhood. And then being respectful of women and being supportive of partners and all those things, that's what teaching fatherhood is. It's not, you don't have to do anything special to be a father. You just be a good person.
What's your view on kind of I don't mean smacking kids, obviously, but what's your view on discipline, like as a dad and as a teacher, kind of looking after kids and how you
everything is relationships.
Teach behavior.
The days of, like, when you get people saying, in my day we got the cane, whatever. People still misbehaved, so that's, it doesn't change anything. And actually, that's a rule through fear. And once someone loses fear, you've lost the battle anyway. So it's about building those relationships and setting out what's right and wrong and where the line is. And that goes with being a parent as well. I have sort of two no's with the boys. There's no, don't do that, and then there's don't do that. So they sort of, when, like last night, for example, they were just hyper, and it was like, don't do that. But it was one of those of like, you're okay to keep playing, you just need to calm down.
Yeah.
And then it goes too far, and then it's like, right, don't do that, and you pull them aside, have those conversations, and explaining why you can't do that. You're the worst dad in the world. Yeah, like that.
I mean, if your dad
But
does
actually-
jiu-jitsu,
and you've
One
watched
no-
him,
yeah.
watched him
One
beat,
knows enough.
beat a man 10 times
Yeah.
your size.
Yeah, but I think, and there's this whole debate at the moment about, I can't remember the term for it. Is it soft parenting or something like that? Yeah. And I think there's just a fine balance, isn't there? Because, like I say, you can shout at a kid, but actually, again, there's a difference, and we say this is in education, there's a difference of shouting and raising your voice. Shouting implies you have lost control. And once they see you've lost control, they've either won because they've got what they want and have wound you up, or it will heighten their behavior anyway. Raising your voice is different, and you need to do that if they're in danger or whatever, or just to sort of like cut the argument. But then it's the big thing that we do is restore after. So whatever the sanction is, whatever your sanction is, I'm not a believer in sort of just allowing the behaviour. If the behaviour is disruptive or dangerous or whatever, you have to stop that behaviour. But it's then when people have regulated and calmed, the restore bit's the most important. That conversation after of, like, why that's happened. So an example is a couple of days ago, always seems to be the third one. I don't know. But he was really, for the whole day, really winding the rest of his brothers up and being really difficult. And so when we got home from the day out, I just put him straight in the car, and I had to go to the shop, and then I had to walk the dog. And I didn't actually speak to him, deliberately didn't speak to him. He just sort of followed me around. But once we got home, before we went in the house, I then explained why I hadn't spoke to him, because he'd upset me and he'd upset his mum and his brothers, and that this will then happen next time. I will just take you away from everybody else, and so you won't get to play, or you won't get the choice of dinner that you want or whatever, because I'm not going to talk to you. I will just give you what I give you, or you won't be able to take part. And so it's that conversation when it's then calm that I think is really impactful, and that's the same in education.
fair enough. And you've spoken about we spoke about jiu-jitsu and like kind of having your thing, especially more importantly when you become a father and time is perhaps not is a luxury, but like was there a cost to you finding time for that? When I say cost, I mean, like, was there perhaps more arguments at home? Did you compensate on like your own free time? Was there a guilt? Like, was there a cost of like?
So this is the big thing of the page, right? So the whole point of the page, although I've sort of niched myself into jiu-jitsu, is it doesn't matter what your thing is. Mine's jiu-jitsu, but I'm a huge believer in, and this is for mums and dads, if your sole identity is a parent, what happens when the kids leave? Because then your identity's gone. And yeah, they might still be around. You see your mum every week or whatever, but actually they're going to leave the house at some point. And so what I don't want, what I'm really scared of is if when my boys leave, live in the regret of, oh, I wish I would have done that, you know. And so for me, a big thing that I want to help sort of the community that's coming to my page and stuff is making time to have your thing for loads of different, for that reason, in terms of your identity, but also your mental health. You know, you need a break. You're working, and again, this is mums and dads. You know, you're working, you get home, you got to feed the kids, homework, all that. So it's, you have to physically make time to look after yourself and have time to yourself. So my wife has her things, I have mine, and so, you know, people think I'm a psycho. I get up at like 4:45 in the morning to go to the gym. I don't enjoy that. Like I don't, and I'm not going to do that forever. But I dedicate that because that's my time to go to the gym. And then in the evening when I go to jiu-jitsu twice a week, you know, I've made sure that, as I said before, I've picked the boys up, I've made dinner, or I've prepped dinner, so all my wife has to do is heat it up. I've done their homework, or I've bathed them, so then all she has to do is the bedtime routine. And then she'll go out in a different evening and it's the same. And it's that like working together to allow yourselves your own time, even if that's once a week, but it's that dedicated time I think is so important. And people get bogged down in, I'm a dad, and then they're chasing around their kids all the time. And my kids, and my kids still do football, rugby, swimming, running. We do, again, that's all built in. So my life is hectic. I don't really watch TV very often, but we want the kids to have opportunities and we want ourselves to have opportunities. And this is a chaotic time. And again, I get lots of DMs of, you know, are you not tired all the time and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I'm tired sometimes, but I also know this period of my life is just busy, and it will get less busy. It will get more busy at times because things will crop up. But the important thing is I've made time for myself, and it's dedicated and it's protected time. And some occasionally in a week, like today, I'm not at training, I'm here, you know, and I'm doing something I enjoy. But there might also be a deadline at work, so I can't go to that training because I need to work late, or the kids might have a match, so I can't go training, and they're the priority. But I think dedicating that time through the week is really important. And me and my wife, you know, we meet on a Sunday, plan the week out, you know, like I say, it's not like a formal meeting around the table, but it's like logistically, right? So it's like this week I came to London straight after work. So this morning I made dinner this morning because she also was working. So she's just come in, all she has to do is heat it up. It's those sorts of things, working together so we can do it.
Sounds very organized and very perfect.
Yeah.
Do you ever fall out with your wife over stuff?
No, because we're honest as well. You know, like there's been times where I can tell that my wife, it's just not like, I can get home from work or I can speak to her on the phone and it's like, I'll just not go to training. You know, and it's that respectful as well. So although I've said like we're relentless in that routine, there is also that acknowledgement that sometimes you have to look out for the other person and doing that. And we're honest in terms of that really doesn't work. Another top tip is just get on the calendar early.
Book it in.
Book it in early. It's not on the calendar. It's not on the calendar.
You can't dispute it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing until recently. Like we have my wife and I have a shared calendar.
I've got a shared calendar.
Whenever I say I'm doing something, she's like, well, it's not on the calendar.
You're like,
oh my God, it's not on the calendar.
You gotta lock it in.
Respect the calendar.
I just called my manager.
Joe, we're doing the quickfire segment here.
Okay.
You've not seen these?
Nope.
So it's essentially as short as answers as possible, but obviously like take as much grace as you need to give an answer you're happy with. But it's just 5 questions, very quick. Don't have to think much about them. They're not like very philosophical or anything. But right, the first question is morning training or evening training?
Evening training.
Best piece of advice you've ever been given about parenting?
Oh, about parenting. It is what it is. What it is. I know that was like a TV show saying at some point, but like as I said before, you can only control what you can control. So there are times like when the baby throws up all over you. You can't do anything about that. Like,
deal with it.
Yeah, you got to deal with it. You know, don't stress what you can't control.
You could almost put this as an answer to the next question. Worst piece of advice you've ever been given about parenting? It is what it is, bro.
Yeah, I haven't really I don't think that everyone's different, aren't they? So what works for me won't necessarily work for Hugh, because our lives are different, our jobs are different, and so I've never really been given a bad piece of advice.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Don't dunk
Hugh?
your babies in a river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
that would be a good piece of advice, actually. Don't dunk them in.
Yeah,
But
don't.
I don't think anyone's. Yeah, as you said, there's I've been recommended particularly around buying stuff for the baby or equipment or whatever. And there's things that we bought that they come out the pack, and then you've used it once, then you've gone, what have we spent 30 quid on that for? It's a waste of money. You just put it away. But the person who gave me the piece of advice, that worked brilliant.
Yeah, it worked for them. Yeah.
So
It meant well.
yeah, I can't say that it's a bad piece of advice, but it's different strokes for different folks, right?
Couple more for you, Joe. Favorite thing about being outnumbered 4-1 by your own kids?
The energy in the house all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. And last one, finish the sentence. A good father is someone who...
Is present.
Would you agree with that, Hugh?
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Nice. So we're coming to sort of tail end here, but we always try to leave a nugget of advice. I mean, there's been lots of advice, but something that we're doing this thing called social media for good, which is essentially draining the swamp of social media. Kind of what you're doing with positive, uplifting,
Are we?
I think we're doing that, yeah.
Robert's just
know we were
realised he
doing that.
signed on to the wrong podcast.
This isn't what I signed up to.
Yeah, the swamp's on the other. It's the next door, so you can go there if you want to contribute towards the swamp. But if there's a dad out there listening who's perhaps they have kids already or they have a kid on the way, if there's one thing that you want them to take away from today's episode, what would it be?
You can still be you as well as a really good dad. So don't lose yourself in. It sounds like I'm advocating not being a dad, and I'm just about being a present dad. What I mean is forever you would hear people say, I can't do that because I'm a dad now, or I've got responsibilities and stuff. But you can still be your own person. You can still pursue what you're passionate about and still be a really good dad.
Yeah.
And don't lose yourself. There are times that are super busy and you won't be able to do your thing. Like we said, your partner's stressed, or there's stuff going on, or the baby's ill, or whatever. But in the whole sense of it, you don't have to stop doing things you enjoy just because you're a dad. Yeah. So, our holidays, me and my wife love to travel. So, and we're quite cavalier in our travel. So, and that's continued because we want the boys to be confident in the world. I'm fully a believer in the world is here for us to explore and enjoy. And so our holidays are, my wife will find cheap flights to somewhere, it doesn't matter where. At the moment we're looking at, she turns to me the other night and went, I think we'll go to India and Sri Lanka next year. I found some flights. Okay. And then we'll book a car, and then we might book accommodation, or we might just leave it till we get there. And it's that and that's sort of how we roll, and the kids haven't changed us, and that's what we did before the kids, and that's what we do with the kids. And so just because we've got kids, we don't have to now go to, if all inclusive is your thing, that's fine, it's not ours, but we don't have to be safe with our kids.
Not because Centre Parks. For
yeah. And I say, if you did that before kids, keep doing that. That's that's your thing. But for us, we're just huge believers in still being ourselves and having our identity in addition to being a parent. And I love being a dad. 90% of my identity is being a dad, but it's not 100% of it because what happens when they're gone?
I think that's key. If it means that much to you, if it means enough to you, you'll make time for it and you'll find a way to fit it in. And ultimately, with your holidays, exotic places, doing whatever, kids are super adaptable. They're just kind of, if you take them along with you, they'll take it into their stride.
Yeah. Can I ask one? What is, and don't just say sleep.
Why do you look so depressed?
Sleep deprivation and all those things. What, really think about it, what is the hardest bit about being a dad?
Your time's not your own at times. So everything takes longer.
Yeah.
Everything takes, just going out. I mean, I've got 4, so it's even hard. But just having one, you're not just thinking of yourself anymore. I can't, So my wife was at work on Tuesday and I was off work, so I had all 4 boys all day and we went to the park. Well, I had to start getting ready for the park like an hour and a half before, because I had to get them dressed. I had to make sure I had nappies and wipes and snacks and juice and all those sorts of things. So I can't just like, oh, let's go. Yeah. So everything takes longer, and that can be stressful. I'm not the best timekeeper as it is, so now kids are my excuse for that. But yeah, and again, I think that can be stressful for people, constantly needing to have stuff for the kid when you take it out. Yeah. And then if you forget it, it's like nightmare.
But there's always a shop.
There's always a shop, and again, that's one of our things. We can just buy when we get there. It's not ideal.
It's not. Yeah. I've bankrupted myself a few times on days out where we forgot to bring something, and then you're like, oh crumbs, we're gonna have to spend 30 quid on lunch for a cheese sandwich or whatever.
Are you the same? It's getting out of the house, or is it something else?
Getting out of the house is it is a challenge.
You've only got one.
I only got one, and she's definitely in the tidy up, organised stuff phase. She's like, yeah, pack this, do that, and whatever. And you're like, okay, I can leave you handle your bag. That's great. I don't know what the trickiest thing. I think a lot of it, again, it revolves around time, having your own time, making your own time. It's hard to make your own time at times, but if you really want to find a way to make things work, you will. The sleep deprivation, all that kind of feeds into it. It can be easy to fall into bad habits of like, maybe I won't go to the gym because I'm a bit tired. I've worked a bit late. I've got to go home. I've got to pick up the kids. I've got to do this, that, and the other. Ultimately, that can, reinforce itself as like a downwards sort of spiral. But if you're really determined enough to make it work, you will.
And I guess communication with your partner, right, around
100%.
Ensuring that you each have time for your own non-negotiables, like jiu-jitsu for you, whatever your wife says, like making sure that you communicate and allow for that space. Right?
Yeah.
So I got that wrong. That wasn't the Drain the Swamp segment, which we're going to call. We're going to call that now.
The Drain the Swamp segment.
We're going to call that now. That was actually the kind of key closing point that I wanted you to just make sure that we captured. It's somewhat similar, this one, and if you'll appease us, we usually ask our guests to look in the camera, and we've got it wrong every time, but that's the one we haven't tried, I think it's one on the far right.
Right.
Because there you go. I think it's that one. So this is essentially like whatever you're comfortable saying around this prompt, right? So if there's a new father who is struggling with the transition to fatherhood and perhaps feels lost, what advice would you give them? And short and sweet. And when you say your response, if you could just look in the camera.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Don't be afraid to reach out to people, whether that's via social media, your physical people in your community and around you and your family, and be confident that people are there to support you.
That's fantastic. Cool. And then just as the final segment,
it always feels drained.
I think the swamp is getting drained. Yeah, that was added. That was a good drain. That was good. Yeah,
lifted the plug.
We've done it.
Yeah, that's actually a thing. It's now that is the Drain the Swamp segment. So you were here to witness that at the starting of the segment. So this is we'll also do this. We follow this. I say this every time. Should probably stop saying it, but we've stolen this from a very popular podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest. Doesn't know who it is. So this was by a guy called Ben Spencer. Incredible guy. Diagnosed with ataxia, which is like a sort of degenerative disease that affects your various functions. And he's, since that diagnosis, been the first person to cross the Alps in a wheelchair. He's done the London Marathon. He's climbed Snowdon. He's such an incredible guy. And so his question to you, and I did actually ask him to explain it because I didn't get it the first time around, so I'll give the explanation as well. But his question was, how are you thinking about your thinking? And what he meant by that was, what are you doing to think about your thoughts? Are they valid? How are you processing those? And what are you maybe doing to abstract yourself from the problem? So the main question is, how are you thinking about your thinking?
So I think this is maybe my most controversial thing. Because my answer would be, I have a relentless pursuit of positivity. And by that, I mean, if you dwell on negative thoughts all the time, it becomes like a self-fulfilling thing. So what I do is, it's not to say like I never get stressed or angry or whatever, I do, but I don't dwell on it. I don't like go over that issue. I acknowledge it, I accept it, and then I look for the positives, or I just move on. And that's sort of my controversial bit, is that's where, like, I think counselling is great and it's really powerful for people, but there's a time where that, I think, if you are constantly talking about negative things, you live in that negativity. You know, so I've never had counselling, but my thinking is recognise it, label it, accept it, and then move on.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Don't wallow in it.
Yeah, don't wallow in it. Don't wallow in negativity, and I also surround myself with positive people. You know, like, I think that's
important.
really important.
Yeah.
You know, and I try and, like, it's like the kids that I work with, I just kill them with positivity. And that's anyone that I sort of come into contact with, I'm just positive all the time. One, because it's hard to argue with, so you rarely get in arguments. You know, if you show people respect and positivity, it's really hard for them to argue with you. And two, I think you get out what you put in, and that's with everything. I also think that's potentially why the social media is going well, because, like, I'm putting out positivity and I'm getting it back. You know, I've not, I think we were saying before, I've had like 3 negative comments and they ain't even been that bad. Like, you know, one called it like I was just faking it all. Well, that's fine. You know, and again, I don't respond to it. I just fine and move on, you know, and yeah, definitely don't wallow in negativity. I just think it would just become a cycle.
And now it's your turn to leave a question for the next guest.
Put me on the spot.
Something loosely around mental health, or even this topic, because we've had questions like, no shame to these people, but, you know, do you wear socks in the heat? I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's a valid question, but, like,
no, I think it'd be, what do you do, or how do you protect your identity? And by that I mean, like, what makes you you, what you enjoy, what you do, what you pursue, what your passions are. How do you protect your pursuit of those things?
An interesting question for our next guest. Okay. Joe, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you.
And keep smashing it. Keep doing God's work.
He's got a line of all these cheesy things he's going to say at some point. He's like,
God's work.
yes,
Preaching.
very good
Preaching.
question. God's
Yes,
work,
sir.
I said.
Should have got you on with the dog collar. Maybe next time.
Cool. Thanks, Joe.
No, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant.